Today's video is all about width. How can we add width to our different elements in our tracks using different techniques? This one's a really good video for the guys who have good mix downs, but they need different techniques to add width. You know, a narrow mix is a telltale sign of an amateur producer. And if you want to do this correctly, we need to make sure we're adding width whilst also being mono compatible. So, hope you guys enjoy the video. Like the video, subscribe, comment any questions you may have, and make sure you share this with a friend who's never added width to their tracks. Take care, guys.
Boom! Yes, you lot. Another brilliant sunny day today. And what better way to spend it than showing you lot how to add width to your mix? Let's do it. So, what do I mean by adding width, first of all? Imagine in your mix, you've got the stereo field. You've got left and you've got right and everything in between. Now, often when making music, you want your main elements, your standout elements, to be in the middle. And you want them to sound really good. The reason being, for a dance track, is because in mono, you want these core elements to hold up. So imagine, I talk about this a lot in my videos, the 5 core elements of your track. Imagine you've got kick, bass, open hat, clap, and then your hook / lead. Those 5 want to sound amazing in mono, yeah? They want to sound really good. And the rest of the elements, you know, you do want them to hold up in mono, but if they take a hit because making the track mono makes it just kind of disappear in the mix a little bit, then that's fine. Now, how does that link to width? Well, we want to be able to have our track sound really great in mono, but then when we open it back up to stereo, it opens up and it feels like, wow, there's life here. Because without that, your track could still sound in mono while it's in stereo, and that's not what you want. You want, when you turn it to mono, for the track to still uphold those 5 core elements, but now almost feel like it's missing something. Not too much though. And then when it opens back up, it's like, wow, the whole track, there's a new life to it. So how can we do that? Because I do see a lot of producers, including myself, not doing it enough. And I think it is something that really takes your mixes to the next level. So this will be quite a quick tutorial because I'm only showing you one track and I'm only showing you a few elements. But hopefully it should help you understand where and when to apply these techniques. So let's get on with the video. Where should we go to first when adding width? I like to add width to my synth and my vocal channels. Now, I'm not going to do it on the bus because we kind of want the main synths to stick more down the middle. But in this track, I don't have any main synths. It's a lead vocal. Let me play you a little bit of the track. Shout out to Freeway as well. Cool. Enough of that. So, cool sounding track, and we want to add some width to the track because to me, the track's just missing that, you know, that openness, that from the left to the right, it feels like everything's really down here and there's nothing either side. So, let's fix that. Let me open up our drums and let's assess first, because I know I said we'll do the synths and vocals and that's typically what I tend to do, but I think a good place to start with this track is the drums, because the drums are what kind of makes a track really cool. Cool. So I've already got it on here, to be fair. So there's an FL Studio plugin that's recently been added called Spreader. And this plugin is incredible. Let me show you why. Because when I turn that off, it's in mono. It's very, down the middle. There's really not that much of a difference when you turn it from mono to what would be the original or just the standard stereo separation. Now let's add spreader. It feels like it opens and closes. Now, if you're not wearing headphones, by the way, get wearing some headphones, because you will not be able to hear out of a phone speaker. You're not truly going to be appreciating what's going on here. So yeah, put some headphones on, get it on your studio monitors, because you want to be able to truly understand what's going on. So, as we said before, Spreader, really nice plugin. Why is it good? Because when you convert it to mono, it doesn't lose any of its impact. Turning it on and off does not affect the volume at all. Some width plugins, some choruses, some phases that attempt to add width even has effect. If I can show you that right now, actually, they will compromise the quality of it. See, with that off, see how it's louder now, but let's do that. It's extremely wide, but we have compromised some of the volume. So we don't want to do that, especially with bigger and stronger elements. So that is why this spreader plugin is amazing. So for this, let's just turn on the entire thing. It kind of brings out the clap a little bit as well. So I like that. Now let's move on to this, because this is already quite wide anyways. But I get a feeling that's more the reverb than anything. So again, let's add our spreader plugin. If you're on Ableton, I'm pretty sure the utility plugin has a width plugin. But if not, if you need a third-party plugin, I don't know whether this is free or not. Wide, I can't remember if I bought it or if it's free, but this is a really great plugin too, because like Spreader, it doesn't compromise the quality of it. So yeah, FL Studio gang, Spreader is goated, but Wider, really nice plugin too. So hopefully you could hear how much the drums kind of opened up with that. I do think I would prefer adding a spreader just to see what that sounds like. All right, very similar, very similar. I do prefer the spreader just a little bit because I can control spread and separation. So this would kind of essentially be like this button in FL Studio, 100% separated, 100% merged. That's essentially what that's doing, and the spread is actually how wide it's going. So if we were to do that, we're basically getting no width. The only thing about spreader is it will actually add volume now. Or perceived volume anyways. So let's bring it down a touch. Let's bring it down half a dB. yeah, I'm liking that. Might bring that up for the sake of it. So yeah, cool. So we've seen how we can apply it to drums. See how these are kind of like the main drums. I wanted to keep them down the middle, but let's say in this one, the top, you know, the really above 10k, 4k, between like 4k and 16k, sounding really nice. So how can we boost the width of that? Well, Pro Q has a really lovely feature called mid-side, and a lot of EQs will have a mid-side setting. So any EQ that you've got really that has a mid-side setting will do. But if you go to the bottom here and click mid-side, it's not showing up on your lot screen, but yeah, if you click mid-side, high shelf, and change that to side, that really top ringy bit is now getting pushed to the sides, and it's being increased in volume. It's not that it's getting pushed to the sides, it's kind of already, this isn't really going to make anything wider, it's just what already is wide is going to increase or decrease in volume. So it's adding a nice bit of air. I might bring it down a touch to like 6k. See all that air that's there? It's really nice. So yeah, boost it by about 3 decibels. Get rid of that. Cool. So hopefully you could see there how when I'm putting it in mono and then taking it out of mono, the drums just open up and they feel like there's life there now. So that's cool. That's for the drums. Let's have a look at this texture. We can maybe do a little bit of width. I wouldn't want to go too far with it because these two drum layers are in the same frequency band and they are quite wide already. So let's just add a little bit. Let's just add a touch of it. Cool. One thing I am noticing is that when I am pushing it wide, there's quite a lot of low mids that are getting pushed wide as well that I don't really want to do because I only want 1K and above doing that. So let's go back into Pro Q with our mid-side EQ and take that away. So if we change this to mid-side and we turn this to a low cut, sorry, I'm saying low mids like it's... Actually, no, yeah. See, like around 700-ish hertz. I don't really want that in. Because that... Essentially what that's doing is it's getting rid of the low frequencies that get pushed to the side. So that those low frequencies stay in the middle and that the higher frequencies get pushed wider. For certain sounds, having those low frequencies quite wide isn't nice, but for other sounds, it will be nice. So have a play around, see what you like, because there isn't really a one shoe fits all kind of thing with this. But I noticed for this element, I didn't want anything below like 1K. Even though it was only like up till about 700, I still didn't want it in there. I could just hear it, so. But sometimes you might make a sound really wide and it's muddying up the mix now, so you would maybe want to get rid of, you want to do this but around like 200 to 300, 400-ish. Cool. If anything, maybe we could push this a little bit wider now. So next thing you'll notice is that this synth is just basically non-existent in the mix a little bit. It's there, but it's just not hitting. So if we're going to do that in terms of width, I would just slap a wider on there or a spreader. Let's try a spreader. See how, if anything, volume is getting added to the sound. That is what you want out of a width plugin. You don't want it to go wide and then you're just losing that mono impact it has. But with that being said, it will increase the volume. So let's bring it down a touch. See how it's just there in the mix now, and it adds a bit of, I keep saying the word width to describe width. I kind of just mean it's opening up and it's just bringing life to the sound now. It's not as two-dimensional anymore. That's probably a better word. It's a bit more 3D. There's a bit more to it now. So yeah. Beautiful. I'm liking that. I might bring down the delay on this then. Let's bring the mix down a little bit. Sounding really nice. I'm liking it. I'm very much liking it. So, I've shown you width plugins and stuff, but how else can we add width? We can do it with a chorus, specifically the Tal chorus, which is a free plugin. Let me show you. So, this synth here. It's cool. It's in the background at a mono volume. Chilling at around -33, so it's not even really like that prominent in the mix, and I want to get it a bit more width, get it a bit more just sticking out in the mix without making it overpower, because pads can overpower a lot of the time given how many frequencies there are in them, and they're not very plucky dynamic noises, they're very just consistent volume. So where is she? Let's get the Tal chorus on there. Beautiful. So, very simple plugin. I am pretty sure this is free. But got the volume, the dry, wet, stereo width, and 2 types of choruses. So, as far as I'm aware, a chorus will add 2 different iterations of a sound. I'm pretty sure one is slightly before and one is slightly behind. No, that's phasing. I'm pretty sure... Hang on, let me do my research. Yeah, so it'll basically add an iteration or 2 iterations slightly before, ever so slightly before, ever so slightly behind, and it'll detune it, so it'll increase it in pitch so slightly and decrease it in pitch so slightly. And what this will do when panned left and right will create this effect that more than one instrument is playing, kind of like a chord, a chorus. There's more than one of it playing, even though it is the same sound, just slightly detuned and slightly delayed. So I like to have both settings on. Dry, wet, I like to have somewhere a bit more wet than dry. For this track, I'm going to have it quite wide. Let's listen. Cool. So we've got the chorus on there. It's now popping in the mix a bit more. Obviously, it is just louder in general. So let's try and get it. Cool. So now that we've added the chorus and we've gain matched it a little bit, we are getting a more fuller sound without using any width plugins. We're using a chorus to sort of artificially create, not even artificially, it's just tricking our ears into thinking the sound is wider than it is while adding a bit of texture, because those iterations, how they're slightly detuned in pitch, will create a thicker sound as well as a wider sound. So yeah. Cool, so what's left now? Just the vocals, really. So I'd say the main vocal we kind of want to keep central, but there is a cool way we can add a bit of width. It's with the micro shift. Now I will do a separate video on this, but essentially we create a micro shift, like a micro shift send, put it at 100% wet, put the focus at around 1K for a vocal, and mess around with the delay and the detune. Mess around with the styles as well. I like style 2, and because I was doing this in the track before, they sounded quite cool. It's kind of double tracking it a little bit, without actually double tracking it. It's kind of doing a similar thing that the chorus is doing, but it's a little bit more high quality. So yeah, as I say, I'll do a proper in-depth video because I don't want to spend too long on micro shift, but creating a more full vocal there. How else can we do it? Again, just with a wider plugin. Yeah, so in this track, I've kind of got 2 separate versions of the vocal for that bit. So in this bit, where it's a bit different, I'm I'm just going to make this wider. Let's get a spreader.
If I have the line, and you have the bass. If I have the line, and you have the bass. If I have the line, and you have the bass. If I have the line, and you have the bass.
It's just bringing it a bit wider in the mix. Obviously, there's a lot of delay going on, so it's that's kind of clouding it up a little bit. Hence why I don't want to add it too much, but it should create a bit of contrast in the mix, because when it goes from being a little bit wider to now in the middle, it's fresh. So
if I have the line, and you have the bass. If I have the line, and you have the bass. If I have the line, and you have the bass. If I have the line.
oh, actually, that's adding a bit of a weird sort of effect to the vocal, isn't it? Right, we're not going to do that because, as I was saying, it's just, yeah, there's something weird about it. So maybe with this reverse vox. If we can just add a bit of width to that. Yeah, I'm liking that. It kind of adds a new dynamic to the vocal. It's quite a subtle effect anyways, but yeah. So that's probably one thing to keep in mind with the spreader, is that, you know, when you're adding it to main vocals and stuff, and maybe some sampled tracks, it is going to have a bit of a weird effect. So yeah, be careful on that front. But other than that, I wouldn't really want to add it to anything else, because a lot of this track is just main vocal, up front kind of stuff. So let me show you in a different track ways we can add it to the vocal. So this is a track that I did it on yesterday. Let's have a look.
Don't try to cover it. Already seen it.
Come on and tell me what's up. 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 Come on and tell me what's up.
Where is it? Where the bloody hell is it? Yeah, here we go.
Come on and tell me what's up. Come on and tell me what's up. Come on and tell me what's up. Come on and tell.
So let's hear it in the mix.
Come on and tell me what's up. 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 Come on and tell me what's up.
Hopefully that will show you how much it's kind of opened up that vocal in the mix, and it's not really compromised the actual mix quality of the vocal like it did for the other one. So in this case it worked, and you know, it's a trial and error thing. It's a case by case thing. Sometimes this will work well on vocals, sometimes it won't. Sometimes this will work well on drums, sometimes it won't. But the principle kind of applies still. You want to be adding a width plugin that's not compromising it when it turns it into mono. And that is what wider and spreader will do. And obviously chorus naturally will kind of compromise the sound a little bit. But in return for that, you are getting a thicker sound. So yeah, is there anything else in this track where I've added a bit of width? Actually, there's another track. Let me show you one final trick. So this track me and Charlesworth have sounded really nice. Probably one of the best mix sounds I've done. But there's a synth in it where quite a lot of the synths in this track are really wide. So how can we sort of create more width without taking up the similar space? Because frequency-wise, they're similar. So if we then just start pushing this wide, it's just going to be clogging up the same like space in the stereo field. So again, if you got headphones on, you'd have really felt that one. We've got it panning left to right. Where is she?
Yeah, man.
So here I've got the plugin Panman. Rhythmic automatic panner. It's doing it to the rhythm. A quarter note, it's moving.
Yeah, man.
Without this on,
Yeah, man.
it's all right, but it's not really, one, it's not really that interesting, and two, it kind of just gets crowded with what's already there. So
Yeah, man.
having it sort of just move left to right,
Yeah, man.
as you can see there. So yeah, as you can see there, the Panman right here is adding a lot of width and depth to this sound now without sort of getting in the way, because it's going left to right, left to right. It's giving that wide feel, but it's not getting in the way of other instruments. You can do this in Panman, you can do this in Shaperbox, or you could very simply just automate the pan volume knob. Where is it?
Yeah, man.
This one here. Where is it? What's it called again?
Yeah, man.
Number 25. So yeah, if you were to just create an automation clip for it, and then see 50% is left. No. 50% is down the center. 100% is left. Let's just see what this would sound like. Turn Panman off.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah,
Want it a bit quicker, really, don't we?
yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so very similar effect. It's just that might take a bit longer compared to Shaperbox or Panman. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was hopefully quite an interesting video in terms of different ways you can apply width to your mix. The main ones being width plugins, chorus, and just panning. Just being very strategic with your panning in terms of using plugins like Panman and Shaperbox. And just in general, panning your instruments quite wide. Like, do I have any? Nothing here is really panned, actually, yeah. Have I got... Yeah, so I've got two hats here that are panned. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, man.
So, number 6 and number 9. If we really push this now...
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
See, it's kind of disappeared almost. It's got lost in the mix, whereas now...
Yeah, man.
That open hat and that feeling, that ticking feeling, is just wider and a bit more full now in the mix. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I hope it's opened your eyes up to different ways you can really sort of add width to your mix. Especially this last one is probably the most simple one, is getting two different sounds, panning one really left, panning one really left, panning one really right. It will open up your mix quite a lot. Just make sure they're two different sounds, because if they're the same sound, then it just won't add any width, because it's not really tricking our ears. Essentially, these width plugins do just trick the human ears into thinking sounds are wider, when really it's either a second iteration that's slightly moved up, or it's just a completely different version of it altogether. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. let me know what you want to see more of. Do you want to see another video on width, or is there any other little tips and tricks you want me to run through? So yeah, adios.